Giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Y'all ain't gonna come for me today. Good morning, good people. Yes, I'm sorta on time. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live. I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. I need a boom. Can I get a boom, y'all? 1, 2, 3, boom! Very special guest today. Our A to Z Sports Live brethren, our A to Z Sports Primetime brethren, Mauricio Rodriguez, joining us today, ladies and gentlemen. He's in the green room. We'll talk Dallas Cowboys matchups with him and award shows, right? He had an award show last night, and I think you guys should check that out. We'll bring some of that to the air today. I did bring up the meter, the confidence meter. I brought that back today, y'all. But I want it to be about the matchup. So that'll be fun later on, so stick around for that. And before we do any of that, we have the roundup, right? And in the roundup, we'll talk more teams trying to come for Dan Quinn. I mean, for a squad that everyone says is so overrated and, not that good, and they sure as hell want our coaches and our staff, am I right? They sure as hell want our coaches and staff, so we'll talk about that a little bit and some injury updates coming out of the roundup prior to bringing on Mauricio Rodriguez. So hold tight, Mo. We'll get to you here in a second. You got some fans already in the chat too, man. You already got some fans in there. So appreciate you guys checking us out from A to Z in the morning and A to Z at night with Mauricio Rodriguez. I've been having a ton of fun this year, and I'm sure he has as well. It also helps that the Cowboys are pretty damn good this year. Helps a little bit. Let's get into some shout-outs right quick prior to getting into the roundup. Got my guy Mike Harris, Mark Smith, Fresh Fade in the building, Dallas Cowboys 9-2. Tom Downey burner account already with the donation, man.
Super chat.
Appreciate you. He says, with the $2 donation, you missed the Dundies last night, Sky. Wow. Hey, Tom, you just got so many kudo points for me because I am a huge Office fan, and that was kind of the Dundies last night, and we'll bring that, back to the forefront today with Mo. He'll go over his awards, and I'll give some of my, insights on it. Who else we got here? Mark Canella. Come on. Scroll up. Here we go. Mark Canella, Alpha Mason, Adrian, PZ Lamont, Jedi, Chase Washington, TC915, Derek Small, Iceberg Q, James Rogley. What's up, James? King Josh, Jack Bynum, Captain America. Salute to you, sir. Special K, what's going on, brother? Angelica, Marcelo, Adrian, Rudy. Who else we got up in here? PZ, J Mart, and over on Facebook, Tone, Peter Rizzo, Lance Bell, Deborah, Brian Montes on YouTube, Tim Garcia, of course, Brandon C. Is my guy CJ here? There you go. CJ on time today. What's up, CJ? Chuck P, Kevin, Lewis, and Tim. Appreciate everyone joining us. If you missed the live today, make sure you run it back on all podcasting platforms. We'll have the audio up both for here this morning and later on, A to Z Sports Primetime. So check that out, y'all. All right, let's get right into the roundup so we can get Mauricio into the show, y'all. Let's do it.
Looking at my Gucci, it's about that time.
It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time. It's time.
It is time for.
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Yes, indeed, the morning roundup presented by Texas Family Fitness, a solution for your fitness goals, whether it be weight loss, strengthening up, toning up, sports, or stress relief. If you want to start your New Year's resolution off the right way, do it at Texas Family Fitness. You can check out any of the 9 locations in the DFW area or visit texasfamilyfitness.com. First up on the docket, little bit of NFC East news. I just got to bring this up real quick, y'all. Let me stop this music real quick. Joe Judge was fired by the New York Giants, right? And prior to the year, a ton of talking heads, at least I heard, were saying that the Cowboys had the third or fourth best head coach in the NFC. I tweeted this out yesterday. Giants fired their head coach after 2 years. Philly, their coach got swept. 40-burger, 51 points. Beat Dallas game. Washington coach has 3 winning seasons out of 11 as a head coach. Let's all have a moment of silence right quick for all those talking heads.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
You know, you could easily just come out and apologize for your shitty takes. You could easily just come out and say, you know, this staff is a really good staff. This Cowboys team is a really good Cowboys team. Instead, they choose to just remain haters. So, if you're going to remain a hater, I'm just going to laugh at you.
Oh my goodness.
I'm just saying, you know, this whole time you guys were talking all this mess on the Dallas Cowboys. They can't do this. We're going to finish third. The NFC East is this and that. 12-5, home playoff game, swept that division. Get off our nuts. The Dolphins now throw their hat in the ring for Dan Quinn, as well as the Bears, as well as for Kellen Moore. Like I said, for all this talk that the Cowboys ain't nothing, y'all sure as hell want our coaches. Interesting. That makes 4 teams for Dan Quinn that are eyeing Dan Quinn: Dolphins, Bears, Jags, and Broncos. And I personally would not be shocked if they come after, or if the Giants come after him coming up here. You know, he's from Jersey, so he's from that area. And they need a new head coach. They need a new general manager, too. They're probably going to need a new owner at some damn point. But no, don't be shocked, guys, if it comes out later today that Dan Quinn is also being interested in from the New York Giants. That's all I'm saying. 4 teams. There's 7 openings. Dan Quinn should be at the top of the list for a lot of those teams. And then finally, a couple injury updates for the Cowboys and the Niners. There really isn't too many from the Cowboys standpoint. They're pretty healthy, about as healthy as you can ask for coming into this game. We talked about Tony Pollard yesterday. He's good to go. He was only rested last week for precautionary reasons. And then we finally got word about Jaron Kearse that, you know, he's expected to play, which I anticipated anyway. But it is good to hear that Jaron will be available due to what the Niners present as a challenge. But as for the Niners, it's a little tricky over there. Their 2 biggest injury concerns, obviously, is the quarterback and Trent Williams. Now, the quarterback has that bruised bone, is it? Or chipped bone and sprain in his thumb, so he's not going to come in healthy. He's going to be what he is. But Trent Williams is the big one, and this is what Kyle Shanahan had to say about Trent Williams. He wasn't going to be in good enough shape to protect himself on Sunday or the quarterback in the game. That was tough on him, but I think he was excited as anyone after we won because I know he's going to do everything he can, and I think he just needs 7 more days. I don't know. I mean, you know, that sounds a little bad if you ask me. Like, yeah, he'll give it a go, and I think he'll play, no doubt about it. But will Trent Williams be the Trent Williams? I don't know. You know, that could bode well for the Cowboys. Right now, we'll know more about it probably Thursday, Friday. But right now, I would say Trent Williams is going to come into that game well less than 100%. The fact that Shanahan said he couldn't protect himself or the quarterback, and that was just, you know, it'll be 7 days from Sunday, a little concerning. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome in our A to Z Sports brethren, Mauricio Rodriguez. What's up, brother?
What is up, Sky? Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I'm not gonna lie, man. Every day I wonder, how does Sky put together a live show at 8 a.m. Central Time? But I'm kind of figuring it out. You have the music going.
Yep.
Did I just listen to Bruce Buffer yell "It's time"
Yes, you
a
did.
few moments ago?
Yes, you
So
did.
hey, I now start to understand it a little bit better. I'm hyped about this playoff game, and I'm hyped about being here and talking about the Cowboys versus the 49ers. Thank you for having me.
Man, I appreciate you coming on, Mo. You've done an excellent job this year. For those who don't know who Mauricio Rodriguez is, you want to kind of give him a bit of a background on your sports career, because believe me, ladies and gentlemen, he will have a career in sports as a broadcaster, writer, whatever, man. You are extremely talented. So you want to give him a little bit of a background prior to us going into this Cowboy stuff?
Thank you, Sky, for sure. Hey, I've been writing about the Cowboys since, I believe, 2016, full-time 2017. I've been with ADC Sports since last year, writing and now hosting the primetime show every night, 8 p.m. Central, here on this same channel. So, yeah, it's been fun. I am from Mexico. For those of you who don't know me, I am from Mexico, and it's been great to cover the Cowboys in Spanish as well, because I do cover them in Spanish as well in my Facebook page at Primero Cowboys. I also write a column in Spanish every Friday for adcsports.com. So I'm excited about being here, definitely.
Yeah, man. Check out all his work if you guys can. Please, please, please do so. I said this before about you, Mo. I said, I feel like Derek Eagleton's going to try to snatch you up off of us at some point. I do. I just do.
Hey,
you know?
that would be awesome.
We talked about earlier in the year,
you,
you brought up Mexico, right? That had the largest attendance, I think, was it NFL history? Was a preseason game in Mexico? And
NFL history, including playoffs.
And then last week or 2 weeks ago, the Cowboys announced their process in kind of migrating to Mexico. So that's pretty cool, man.
Definitely. And hopefully, we have the great Isaac as well. We are all over here. We're all crossing our fingers that we're going to get to see Isaac make a 53-man roster. How awesome would that be? It's looking a little bit complicated, but it would be awesome.
Let's wait till next year. I love Isaac, but let's wait till next year. If he makes it this year, that means there was a problem, and we don't want that problem, Mo.
Definitely.
But yesterday you did a pretty damn good show, and my man called it the Dundies, but it was basically the Cowboys award show, and I thought that was cool. So I kind of want to recap your Cowboys award show and then give my take on what I thought, or I guess my awards for the same nominations that you brought up. I'll start off with, if I can find it here. Come on. Your prime time performer. You had Micah Parsons. I don't think I have much argument there, but you kind of want to give your take on Micah Parsons being your prime time performer.
I even thought, Sky, about making it a rule that we couldn't name Micah Parsons, because it felt so easy. It felt so, there is no debate there. It's got to be Micah Parsons. And that's a surprise. I think that if you had asked Cowboys fans, who do you think the primetime performer, which is sort of my equivalent for MVP of the team, back in August or September, many people would have said Dak Prescott, because he's a quarterback. He's one of the best in the league at the position. So many of us would have thought Dak. But hey, Micah did enough to earn this award, and I don't think there's a lot of argument right there.
Absolutely not. I mean, he's up for discussion for Defensive Player of the Year, right? So, I love Dak, but he's not up for discussion with MVP anymore. The first half of the season he was, but not the second half. So, Micah Parsons is just an absolute stud. I mean, I think he's going to be a cornerstone. We talked about cornerstone players earlier in the year when Jerry Jones mentioned that name with Jalen Smith. I mean, that was laughable. But this is a real cornerstone player, multifaceted player. I think he can be a lead at 2-3 levels of this defense. I'm with you. No arguments here with primetime performer Micah Parsons.
Yeah, and the thing about Micah, I believe, is that even if you had high expectations for him, we just didn't know that he was going to be rushing the passer this much. And I think that is where the surprise comes from, I believe.
Yeah, he had the pass rush ability. I think blessing in disguise. A couple blessings in disguise happened this year, Mo. One was when Tank got hurt at practice, that forced Dan Quinn to move him down there. I think they were going to rush him from the linebacker spot, but it forced the Cowboys to see what he had as a defensive end. And he's right. He could be a 20-sack defensive end or 130-tackle linebacker. I mean, he's just that damn good. Exactly. Next up on your prime time awards was Breakout Player, and you had Cedric Wilson. Can you give you an explanation on that one?
I did, and I think it was between Cedric Wilson and Trevon Diggs. And I mentioned this last night on the show. I think that Trevon clearly had the better season, right? But the thing about Cedric is that maybe we weren't expecting the breakout this much. Like with Trevon Diggs, we expected something to happen.
Mhm.
Maybe not 11 picks in a season, but we expected him to have his best year. Cedric Wilson was more of a player that we didn't expect to step up this big. And I believe that Cedric Wilson has been such a good player for the Cowboys offense that, hey, hopefully the Cowboys get Michael Gallup re-signed, but it's going to be a little bit tough. You would feel comfortable, I believe, with Cedric Wilson heading into 2022
Absolutely.
as your number 3 wide receiver. So the fact that Wilson made that statement earned him this award for me.
Yeah, it's hard to argue said being the breakout player there. I can't argue with you. He had a phenomenal year. I think he would have 1,000 yards had he been the wide receiver 3 all year. But I'm actually going to go with Jaron Kearse in this aspect because, I mean, both are quality candidates for this one, right? But Jaron Kearse, I did not expect Jaron Kearse to have this kind of season. I thought he was a Pro Bowl caliber safety this year. Easily could add 4 interceptions, 5 interceptions. You got to catch some of those things. But I think he was, if not our number 1B, he was our number 2 most important defender this year. Once we got him with that green dot, it kind of opened up Micah Parsons. He was allowed to play everywhere. J-Ron plays everywhere. He has extreme versatility. So I think J-Ron would be my breakout player of the year.
And that's super valid, man. The fact that the Cowboys had, DeMonte Casey, they had Donovan Wilson. We were talking about all of these safeties. Many of us didn't even expect Jaron to make the roster. And when we did, and I've talked about this, when I started to change my mind and started going like, hey, maybe Kears makes the 53, it was because of special teams. I didn't expect him to become the second most important player on defense.
No, and it's funny because you brought up Diggs, right? Like, I'm trying not to do the easy stuff here. Trayvon Diggs had 11 picks. I mean, that's clearly a breakout. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. I mean, I expected Trayvon in year 2 to be much better, so none of it is a surprise, but the 11 picks is just so gaudy, man. It's kind of like you said, can we do this without naming the obvious? And Micah was obviously the obvious one. But I think if we were kind of not trying to be – if we were being obvious, it'd be Trayvon Diggs. Let's just be real.
I agree.
Now, surprise player, flipped it. You have Jaron Kearse as your surprise player of the year. Explanation?
Yeah, I had to give him some love. As you said, man, we didn't expect him to step up this big. And the fact that Jaron and I even wrote him down as a safety / linebacker, because sure, he's a safety, but he's playing in the box all the time. He's doing a lot of linebacker-like stuff. I had to give it to Jaron Kearse, and I think there wasn't a lot of controversy around this one either.
No, but again, since I used J-Ron as my breakout, I had to think of another surprise player.
And there's some good ones.
There were some
good ones last night in the chat.
I'm going to go with Anthony Brown. Listen, I thought Anthony Brown plateaued. I never expected Anthony Brown to really be more than what he had been over the last number of years, which is a very mediocre to subpar cornerback. But I think Anthony Brown has had a tremendous year for what we thought he was going to be. I guess you can argue it's about expectation, Mo. Like, my expectations weren't that high for Anthony Brown, but he came in with 3 interceptions. He was one of the better man cornerbacks this year, if you go look at the statistics. And I think he was reliable. I know he is a hot button topic type of player, but if we really dive into AB, he's been more reliable than not. And I know we're so centered and focused on the Cowboys football, but if you look at the landscape of the cornerback position, when it comes to cornerback 2s, he's been one of the better ones this year, y'all. I know y'all don't like to hear it, but he's been one of the better ones. And to me, that is a surprise.
And people were ready to bench him. Heck,
after week, I was ready after week 1.
Yeah, I know. And I remember that in the preseason, we actually had a conversation about this, about Maurice Kennedy being named the starter maybe, and maybe Anthony Brown getting cut even before the season. So Anthony Brown did a great job silencing a lot of doubters, and I'm including, of course, myself in this one. And I believe 99% of Cowboys fans, Anthony Brown did a tremendous job this year. And if you think about his worst performances, you need to go back to week 1 versus Tampa, because Tom Brady did go fishing versus Anthony Brown. And then the Raiders game with all of the flags. But even with the flags, you need to cut him some slack because the officiating was
Oh, it
quite
was horrible.
strict on that game. It was horrible. So you gotta that here's the reason why we didn't see much from Kelvin Joseph, who also looks like a legit cornerback, by the way.
Yeah, I see some in the chat have Kelvin Joseph as one. Pollard, some say Pollard. Terrence Steele is definitely a surprise.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Terrence Steele, I think, I said this before. I think we have 2 starting right tackles. I think we have 3 caliber starting tackles in general. And if I'm going into next year, I'm looking at a way to move Lyle inside so you don't have to go out and draft a guard. You don't have to go out and sign a guard. You got your guard on the team, and then slide Terrence Steele at right tackle, and you're good to go. Your line doesn't have to kind of take a hit, right? You still have continuity, things like that. And coming into the year, I don't think anyone thought Terrence Steele would be, you would say at the end of the year, hey, man, he's a reliable starting tackle.
He is, and definitely one of the biggest turnarounds from year 1 to year 2 from a Cowboys players that we have seen recently.
Yeah. Some said, I guess bad surprises, LVE.
Yeah.
It's not really I'm going to be real with you. I said it from the jump, Mo, that once you hired Dan Quinn, I didn't like the fit. So he's kind of been very up and down this year, more down if you ask me. It seems like every time he has a good game, he follows it up with a bad game.
That's exactly right. He's been up and down, and I would be very surprised if we see him back in 2022. But definitely linebacker, if you think about it, has turned into a position of need for the Cowboys because even though you have Micah, you need to be in a position to play him around like you have in 2021. And if you don't have that solid group of linebackers, that's going to be tough going forward.
Yeah, and what a drastic change in our feelings at the position. Coming into the year, I thought this was the deepest position on the team. You know, I'm thinking Micah Parsons, Jabril Cox as your young guys, LVE, Jalen, while I didn't think they were a great fit as depth guys, I love it all day and tomorrow as depth guys. And then you got Neal, who I thought could be that kind of quasi linebacker, safety, roamer type, but he's been forced to play more strict linebacker due to injuries and bad play. And it's clear as day to see, Mo, he is not a linebacker, right? Like he was good at safety playing in that linebacker role because it's different assignments, it's different keys, different reads. He comes down, he's a downhill missile guy. But as a pure linebacker, when you're sitting there in that box 90% of the time, the way you read things and react is different. And I don't think Keanu Neal is that guy. So what a drastic turn of events at linebacker, man.
No doubt about it.
All right, next up is your most overlooked player. I like this one, CJ Goodwin. I like it.
Yeah, CJ Goodwin is that player that I myself, I'm guilty of not covering enough in the shows, in my articles. Special teamer CJ Goodwin has been there week in and week out, being one of the best gunners in the entire NFL on special teams. So we needed to give him some love. And actually, I mentioned this last night. CJ Goodwin is somewhat of the inspiration for the awards show because I was looking at the game film versus the Eagles, and I was like, we need to give CJ Goodwin some love. And I started thinking about these awards. Definitely my most overlooked player. I think there are a lot of potential options for this award as well, though. It's not as clear as they.
Yeah, I'll look into the chat to see what they think about some more overlooked guys, but it's hard for me to argue CJ Goodwin here, and I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just a little bit biased. I developed a relationship with Goodwin last year when I had him on the show. Not one of my favorite interview I've ever done was CJ Goodwin. I mean, dude is hilarious. He's real. He gives it to you raw. He went real in-depth about Bones Fossil. That kind of made me come a little bit more on board with Fossil, even though, he's said some wacky things over the last few days, Mo, about his kicker. Got a little bit too much of a tie.
Hey, but what can he do, though?
I mean, you can go get another kicker. But it's so weird with him. And maybe we'll talk about it later in the show. But CJ Goodwin's a good one. I can't argue with that at all. I think he is our Matthew Slater. For those who don't know who Matthew Slater is, he is I'm going to say it. He's a Hall of Fame special teamer for the New England Patriots. I don't know if a special teamer like that can get into the Hall of Fame, but Matthew Slater is ridiculous. You know, he continues to be a A+ all-world gunner, and he plays up and down the line of special teams. He can fake it for you. He makes the clutch tackles. And, he's got those Super Bowl rings, too, to boot. So, I think he is our Matthew Slater. And one thing CJ told me last year was that he understands I'm not a cornerback. I just have to be listed as a cornerback, but that's not my job. I'm not good at it. It is what it is. I'm making my living, feeding my family, being the best special teams player I can be. And I don't know, aside maybe from Matthew Slater, and this could be also Cowboys bias, how many guys in the league are as good as CJ Goodwin at what his role is for this team.
I agree. And I agree that maybe we should acknowledge that it's because we don't get to see a lot of the other teams, and maybe they have guys like this. But I do think that this guy is one of the best in the league at what he does. CJ Goodwin is legit.
This is a good one from Jacob. Carlos Watkins, most overlooked.
Hey, that's a super fair answer. The guy, I'm not sure about this. I would need to go back and look at the numbers. But right now, I would bet that he's the defensive tackle with the higher snap count in the Cowboys.
Probably right, because I don't think – no, he was out for 1 week, I think, with COVID.
All right.
Was it COVID? Maybe. He got hurt. I think after week 1 or week 2, he got hurt, but he didn't miss many games, so he probably played a ton of snaps. Yeah.
But then you had a lot of rotations going on with Oza, and then Neville Gallimore got back, so maybe he ate some of the other defensive tackle snaps. We would need to check, but I would make that bet.
I got Brian Anger as overlooked. Here's another one that's tough for me to find a place. Dalton Schultz. Wasn't sure if I should put him in surprise. Wasn't sure if I should put him as breakout. Overlooked because I think
overlooked.
Maybe overlooked. I think overlooked.
Didn't he break out last year? Even though
right, I'm with you. That's what I'm saying. He's not a surprise because he did it last year. It's not really a breakout because he broke out last year. But this year, I think 800 yards, 8 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. That's pretty damn good. That's actually Pro Bowl worthy. But he didn't get into the Pro Bowl this year. So, yeah, I overlooked.
It's fair. There were some great candidates with Kyle Pitts and, of course, George Kittle. I don't have many arguments there. I think it's fair that he got snubbed.
Got Jordan Lewis dropped. Dorrance Armstrong, Malik Hooker. Good names.
Armstrong.
Good names. Not going. This, like you said, there were a lot of guys you could have put on this list. Let me shout out T. Gordon Mayhall. What's up, T. Gordon, with the donation?
Super chat.
$5 donation. He says, CJ Goodwin is our modern day Bill Bates.
Hey, that's fair.
I mean, I wore number 40 back in the day as a little kid. My grandma used to call me Bill Bates. And I used to be like, why are you calling me Bill?
You didn't know?
Oh, I mean, I knew Bill Bates was, but it was like, no, man. But no, seriously, Bill Bates is, if there was a Hall of Fame for special teams, Bill Bates, right?
Exactly.
Steve Tasker and all those guys. Let's get to your wish we had seen more. Like this one. Blake Jarwin.
Yeah, and we got some great candidates mentioned in the chat as well for this one, which we had seen more. You can take a look at it from two perspectives. Maybe number one, just the fact that he was injured and we didn't get to see a lot of him, but also maybe a little bit of a disappointment player if you want to add it. But I had Blake Jarwin because coming into the season, I was very excited about that battle with Schultz and Jarwin. It was becoming more and more clear each week that Dalton Schultz was tight end one, but I was looking forward to seeing how Blake Jarwin was going to maybe put up a battle versus 86. But, the injury and everything that went down with Blake Jarwin, once again, we have not seen a lot of him since 2019, actually, because in 2020, he was also down with an injury. So Blake Jarwin, definitely my player that I wish we had seen more from in 2021.
Mine's is so obvious to me. When I saw this was one of your nominations, the first name that popped up to me was Jabril Cox. I am devastated and hurt that when Jabril Cox tore his ACL, because we saw it happen and we saw him slowly but surely getting worked in, and we noticed, as we see right now, that he was going to be needed. And I think right now, if I was the 49ers and I will talk. No, I don't want to talk about it yet. We'll talk about it with the matchup meter. But just know, without Micah Parsons at linebacker, you are hurting right now. You are hurting. And I think that Jabril Cox would have been a huge asset to this team. He fits the mold of Dan Quinn. the fast, athletic, rangy linebacker. I think he was better. He was going to be better against the run than a lot of people were giving him credit for. You saw some of that physical ability in the preseason, and I know you're going to say, oh, it's the preseason. That's not really the point. It's not who you play, it's how you play. And I thought that Jabril Cox in the preseason showed a lot more physicality than he was given credit for, which maybe due credit, non-credit, because he was mostly a cover guy, a run and hit guy, not a guy that was going to thump you. But I just think Jabril Cox right now would have been such an important piece to this defense, and maybe again, he's not a guy that I'm going to say take it over the top, but a combination of him and Micah Parsons, Mo, could have taken this defense to even a higher level.
Yeah, and you said it, the mode of Dan Quinn. And when you say that, I'm thinking about the guys flying around on defense. And Jabril Cox would have done that with Micah Parsons. So a very fair answer, no doubt about it.
Yeah, let's see what we got in the chat here. For what was it? We want to see more. Who we want to see more from? Jabril Cox is one. Kelvin Joseph, I see in here.
Ooh, that's a fair one. That's a very fair answer.
Neville Gallimore.
Yeah,
he got hurt, so that sucked too. It was kind of like all of these are kind of the injury situations, but Kelvin Joseph was not. Kelvin Joseph, boss man, yeah, a lot of people are high on. Oh, Semi, that's an interesting one. Lamont wanted to see more Semi, Fehoko.
Someone mentioned last night Israel Mukwano, and I think that was a fair answer as well, but he's been inactive most season, if not all of the season.
But how? It's similar to the Semi answer. How are you, who are you sitting down for Izzy, right? Like Hooker played well. KZ, I guess a lot of people would say KZ, but KZ was pretty good at the beginning of the year. He kind of tailed off to be average after that. We're not sitting up for J-Ron, and then Donovan Wilson came back. So it's kind of tough to get a little bit more Izzy in the same mode of kind of tough to see more Semi because you're deep at wide receiver.
I've seen two Brent Irvin answers in the chat, one from Special K on YouTube and then the other one from Lance on Facebook. And I think that Brent Irvin is a very good answer as well.
Yeah, it sucked when Brent went down. I like Brent. I thought he was one of those gritty guys, blue-collar guys, just bring the lunch pail to work and do your job. That was Brent. And he was a fun guy, looked like on the sideline, too.
Yeah.
Could be used in a game like this. And we'll talk about that here soon. Shannon Sharps, this is funny. He says, more of Cooper. Yeah. Good to see more of Cooper. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I get some more here. Yep, you got the Brent Urban one. Oh, Saywo at fullback. Didn't Saywo hurt himself?
Yeah, I would assume like Saywo is the guy that many people, including myself, we were fantasizing about having that fullback on the team, and then we didn't get it. We get it. We got it in the shape of Connor McGovern, an offensive lineman, and it's been fun. Don't get me wrong.
It's been fun, but he doing too much with that package in places it don't need to be in. What happened to Nick Ralston?
Yeah, undrafted free agent for the Dallas Cowboys. It could have been Nick Ralston. Maybe the Cowboys didn't simply want to waste because it comes to the point in which you're not only talking about who's the better fullback, you're talking about the 53-man roster, right? Who's fighting for those final spots on the team. So maybe that's the reason why the Cowboys didn't give Ralston a spot.
I will say this from looks like Skittles is the name on YouTube. He says Rico Dowdle. Here's what I'll say about Rico Dowdle, that answer. Yes, it would have been nice to see him as the running back 3. Maybe you but you sit down Ezekiel Elliott for a little bit to rest. But Corey Clement, I think, has shown that he's been shown in his career that he's a capable third running back, and I think we're just now starting to see that. And he could be, strangely enough, an important piece as a special teamer. And if one of your running backs get banged up going through this postseason here, he got a block punt the other week.
And also, you just mentioned Ezekiel Elliott and rest in the same sentence, and I don't think we're allowed to do that in the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think that is something that you can do, Sky. So
no, here's a funny thing about that. It was clear as day, Mo. It was deliberate that they wanted to get these records against the Eagles once they realized that they were attainable. I think if you got to the third quarter, the second quarter at halftime or whatever, and it was 17-10, it was 21 to 13, they'd be like, you know what? Nah, we're not going to break this thing. Once they hit 30, I think they came out in the third quarter and said, we're going to get every record possible. Now, 1,000 yards is not a record for Zeke, but it is a benchmark and a milestone that I guarantee you he wanted to get. Almost positive he wanted to get that.
He talked about it during the week. So I think that it's something that coaches want to give their players. There are a lot of players that maybe don't care about it. But if your star running back is talking about it midweek, he's talking about how much it means for him. Sure, why not? Let him get it, right?
Yeah, but I thought it was cool to kind of circle back around to Corey Clement to see him get some carries against his former team, by the way, that he won
the Philly special direct snap.
Super Bowl with. But it was nice to see him run. And he ran hard, too, man. Jaquan Hardy ran. All the running backs ran hard in that game. But speaking of Zeke, he showed some of that shiftiness that I'm glad we got to see going into the playoffs because we're going to need Zeke this week, I think. But yeah, man, that was most of your awards. Now you did have Game of the Year, I think you had, and there was one more I forget, but we don't need to go into the Game of the Year and all that other stuff.
Which was the other one was
another one.
Only the Game of the Year, I think. We only missed that one.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got through most of them. And you had, if you want to briefly talk about it, you had the Week 1 game of Tampa Bay versus the Cowboys in a loss mode. You might have to explain yourself on that one.
Hey, I know it was a loss, but we went through the entire preseason and offseason hyping this offense up, talking about how special it was going to be with CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, all of these guys. We were having Dak Prescott discussions when some doubters wanted to get Russell Wilson for some weird reason. All of that happened in 2021, and now that game was a culmination of all of it. We saw that indeed this was a special offense, and it was for the first couple of months, and now we're just waiting to see it get back in time in the playoffs, right? So I wanted to give that Dak Prescott, Tom Brady quarterback duel, I wanted to give it I think it was the best game of the year, to be honest.
You had a brain fart, Mo. And everybody knows on my channel, I'll push back. You had a brain fart. The New England Patriot game, Mo.
I mentioned it as my runner-up.
Come on, overtime game. We haven't slayed that giant ever. We haven't won in Foxborough since, 96? Bill Belichick. Walk-off touchdown. Yeah. I mean, we put up 1,700 yards against them boys. Pick six, next play, 75. I mean, that was just a phenomenal.
Gregory murdering Mac Jones.
Gregory with the best hit of the year. Asked the NFL. They put him in a little highlight clip of how you tackle. That game was fun. I almost forgot to do a post-game show. I was running around. Jesse had to grab me. He was like, Will, we got a post-game show right now. I'm like, oh, I forgot. That game was amazing, man. That was the one. That was the one. And if I had to do a Game of the Year 1B, I'd go the Vikings game. The first half, we looked like we weren't going to do crap. In the second half, Cooper Rush drive the game in the overtime. Was it overtime? Yeah. Overtime, yeah. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Can't remember if it was overtime.
Versus the Vikings? Was it overtime?
I can't remember if it was overtime. Nonetheless, it was a walk-off touchdown.
Yeah, with Cooper Rush,
yeah.
And also, hey, the Vikings game had me at the moment that they walked out with an inverted wishbone formation. I was just screaming like a nerd at the TV because I just was reading about the wishbone and all of that, and that was so awesome to see.
Yeah, that was fun to see that wishbone package. I just thought it was hilarious in that game, though, because if you go look at the halftime show, Mo, I'm like, can we bring in Will Greer? Can we see Jake?
Can we change something up?
Can we see said Wilson at quarterback? I mean, this is looking terrible. I mean, he was looking awful. And then I think the first possession of that second half, 70-yard touchdown to said Wilson. I said, here we go. All right, we back in this thing. But yeah, that was a fun game too. But yeah, man, Game of the Year was without a doubt the Patriots win in Foxborough.
It was in the fourth quarter, by the way. People are telling us in the chat.
Okay, I could remember. Fourth quarter.
Yeah.
All right, so here's what we're going to do, man. That was fun reviewing the awards. And again, if you guys want to check out more of Mauricio's award show, the Dundies, you can go look that up here on the YouTube channel as well on Facebook. Give
That
us
was
a
my biggest brain fart, by the way. My biggest brain fart was not giving the Game of the Year award to the Cowboys Buccaneers game. The biggest brain fart occurred when I didn't name the show the Dundies for the Cowboys.
yeah, man. Come on, man. You gotta give some props to The Office, one of the
Yeah.
greatest comedy shows of all time. We're gonna take a
Number
quick
one.
break, and then we'll come back and we'll get into some of our matchups in this game and the matchup meter. We'll bring the confidence meter back, and we'll see where you guys rank your confidence levels with some of these matchups in this game. So get your coffee, get your water, take a quick break.
Where else you want to go? Don't nobody do it like us, bro. Oh my goodness. We beat the brakes off y'all. Walk that trip.
Yes, indeed. Game day live. Hopefully not the final game day live, right? We want to have a couple more game day lives at Texas Live this weekend. Sunday, I'll be there early in the morning because I'm pretty sure it's going to get packed. Hope to see a lot of Cowboys fans there. Jesse Alley and myself will be there. Funny thing is, and I don't know if Jesse will see this today, we're playing the Niners. And I don't think I've seen Jesse yet mention the catch that he had against the 49ers back in, what was that, 2010 or 11 or something like that, maybe 12, I don't know, where Tony Romo punctured lung game. He gets down to the one, and you know, his documentary is based around that. I don't think I've seen him mention it yet this week, so I'm going to make sure he talks about that a little bit this Sunday on Game Day Live. Yeah, I thought he would bring that up. He hasn't really brought it up just yet. Let me set this thing up here for a second, but if you want to hop into the chat and see if we got any chat, I see we got some 49er fans jumping up in here per usual. So far, so good, though. You know, they usually come in here and they're crazy, but they haven't been too crazy this morning yet, Mo. Yeah, that's my guy he usually is the Eagles are trash. But because we're playing the 49ers, he switched it up. I think that's pretty funny. All right, let me pull these away, and let's get this matchup meter popping. Come on. What happens when you know. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I did mute you a little bit. You back now.
Yeah. All right. Sky is trying to censor me here in his chat in his show. I will not have it.
This ain't new for those that watch this show. Since we don't have the technology of the big networks, I'm always messing somebody up here. All right, let's bring in the matchup meter. I think we have it up. All right, here we go. And now this is how we do the matchup meter, or well, how we do the confidence meter, Mo.
Okay.
Scale to 1 to 10, your confidence level on said person or matchup. And before we did our confidence level, playoff confidence of like the coaches, Dak, and things like that. But today we're going to do matchups, okay? And I want to start off with this one because I think it's going to be one in the trenches. So I got Joey Bosa and those boys, Arik Armstead, Joey Bosa against Tyron Smith, Lyle, and Zach and those boys. So 49ers D-line against the Cowboys offensive line. What is your confidence matchup meter here from 1 to 10?
Ooh, versus the Cowboys offensive line. This is a good one because I'm looking at a specific matchup that I'm not that confident about, and it's Arik Armstead versus Connor Williams. I think that they're going to have Armstead go against Williams most of the game, and I will say moderate because I will go with a moderate. What would that be number-wise? Like a
5-6.
A 5-6? I will say 6. Because I do believe that the Cowboys offensive line...
Nick Bosa. I'm sorry. I said Joey.
Oh, yeah, Nick Bosa. I will go with a 6 because I think that the Cowboys offensive line is even quite underrated. Like, if you take a look at pressures allowed and all of that, they rank at the top of the NFL in all of those stats. And I think that even Cowboys fans have not given enough credit to this unit. I think it's one of the most underrated Cowboys units in the team. That being said, the 49ers have a great defensive front, so I need to give them some respect. I will go with a 6.
I think that's fair, and I think it's fair because they do have a great front, and I'm with you. I think we kind of underrate the Cowboys' pass blocking unit, especially when number 77 is in there. The team can pass block their ass off, I think. Listen, you should be judged on 60 of the 65 plays, not the 3 or 4 plays that you're not good at. You're not going to win every single battle. That's just not going to happen. But
It's the NFL.
It's the NFL. Pass blocking wise, I think the Cowboys do a phenomenal job. Where they have not done a great job of late, and I have to put blame a little bit on the coaches, is in the run blocking department. When you see that your team is struggling a little bit in the run game, there are ways to help them out. And I've been talking about this all year, Mo. Ways to run to the outside, pull your guys, get some misdirection going. They didn't do any of that. Instead, they just line up and they just ran it up the A and B gaps with a hobbled Ezekiel Elliott, and that did not work. So I think a 5-6 is fair, but I think it's fair because we're giving credit to the Arik Armsteads. They have an underrated interior defender as well, opposite of Arik, and the Nick Bosa's and things like that. So I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, and you were talking about running the game, running the ball creatively.
Yeah.
And if you take a look, for example, at that 26-yard run that Ezekiel Elliott had last week versus the Philadelphia Eagles, even that, we think about running outside as the creative runs, right? But in that play, they had Dalton Schultz outside, they motioned him inside, and then he was blocking on the A-gap, right? With Connor Williams and Tyler Viadic doubling on a Philadelphia Eagles defensive line. So all of those little wrinkles, hopefully we see more of that in the postseason.
And I think we will. I think, and I don't even know, I'm just teetering on blind optimism, or just, is this the obvious thing we're seeing here where Kellen Moore hasn't really run those things that worked earlier in the year, and he has to be holding back some of those plays, right, for this week. I don't think you can go into this game saying, you know what, we're going to give Tony Pollard the ball 3 times. We're going to rush him the ball 12 times, and 9 out of those 12 are going to be right at the A-gap out of shotgun. Or we're going to have Dalton Schultz block Joey Bosa 3-4 times in this game and expect him to win. I can't fathom you doing that in a do-or-die game. So I'm going to go with we'll see more of what we think works on the ground.
Yeah, and for the good of our mental health, hopefully that doesn't happen.
Imagine you lose like that and rushing the ball 9, 12 times. J Mart says 6, 4 from Donald. 8 says Stephen White. 6, 7 from Mel. 1. Okay, that's Jamil. Are you a Cowboys fan or are you a Niners fan? 1 seems to be very dramatic. 5 says UGK baby. 6 TC915. Will was very confident. Says 8. Caesar says moderate. I think most people are on the same page. They're looking around that 6 area. So they feel, I think, confident, but also respecting the Niners defensive front.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, shout out to Nick, who is in the YouTube chat, and he just called us the Kobe and Shaq of Cowboys content.
Whoa.
Shout out to Nick.
That's high praise.
Yeah. I feel the pressure is on right now.
Yeah, right. Now we gotta come through here in the finals. All right, next up on the matchup meter, got Deebo Samuel versus Trayvon Diggs. How you feeling? Where's your confidence level?
I hate the fact that we're facing Deebo Samuel. I will tell you that right off the bat. But I also think that one-on-one, if we're talking route running, if we're talking who Deebo Samuel is as that receiver, I'm feeling confident about it. I will say that I feel a solid 8. Trayvon Diggs versus Deebo Samuel. My concern with Deebo Samuel comes from him being motioned inside as the running back, him messing with your defensive structure, which is even more of an issue versus man-to-man defenses, and that is what the Cowboys have been running most of the year. That's what worries me about Deebo Samuel. I'm not going to lie to you. When I go to bed at nights, I kind of take a little bit longer to fall asleep because I'm thinking about facing Deebo Samuel, but specific that one-on-one matchup versus Trayvon Diggs, I will go with a high 8.
Yeah, I'm 8, close to a 9 with this one in regards to the matchup from a passing standpoint. I want to make sure I make that clear. I love the matchup if we have to make the 49ers throw the rock to Deebo Samuels down the field or intermediate or in breaking routes, things like that. I like the matchup. Where it can get tricky, and I'll be fair to the Niners and Deebo, is if they move him inside for quick screens, if they motion him in the back and gets a pitch, if they can get those if they can get those linemen out on a quick screen and he gets up, I don't feel comfortable with Diggs coming down and dealing with that in a physical standpoint. But from a passing standpoint, I don't think Deebo is that kind of guy. Again, we talked about this yesterday, Mo. 60% of his targets come at the line of scrimmage or between 0 to 9 yards. So he's getting the rock majority of the time fast, quick, early, right? And anything beyond that, he's very so-so unless it's a wide open pass or things like that. He's not a guy that's going to route you up downfield. This isn't Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Scary Terry, Cooper Kupp, things like that. This is a guy who's going to try to get the ball very early in the down. So, I like it from a passing standpoint, but if they try to get to the parts where they say, hey, we don't want to throw this ball downfield or intermediate on Trayvon Diggs, we're just going to go ahead and throw the rock right away at the LOS, give him quick end arounds and things like that, then it becomes a little bit more of an issue. And that's where I like 24, Boss Man Fat, to deal with Deebo, because Boss Man is extremely physical, and he'll come up and he'll match Deebo's physicality.
I wouldn't mind that. I definitely wouldn't mind that. And if you're a Niners fan, I think that you want the 49ers to play Deebo inside all game, I would assume.
Listen, I said this yesterday. They would be making a huge mistake if they don't target. I say target. I mean, get Deebo target/touches at least 15 times in this game. A huge mistake, and yet he has a lot of receiving yards. Over half of those receiving yards are yak. So, he's getting those yards based off of how he runs after the catch. He's not a guy that's getting you down the field, like I said, unless he's wide open.
Exactly. And that's a concern, of course. That is fair.
That's a concern.
It's a concern that Deebo Samuel is so good after the catch. Mm-hmm. But that's where we fall back to the Trevon Diggs matchup, and that is where I feel confident. Other than that, I am quite scared about Deebo Samuel.
Okay, let's get to the next matchup meter. This one should be unanimous here. Amari Cooper versus the Niners secondary. What's your confidence level there?
I'm going to go with a 10 on this one. I'm going to go with
a 10 on
this one. Because Amari Cooper is still the guy, even though he has gone with a few quiet games late in the season, he is still the man. So I need to give this one a 10, because if the 49ers defense is vulnerable at something, it is versus the pass. And you see that in the numbers, you see that on tape. They give up a lot of big plays. They are about 19, 18. If you take a look at efficiency numbers like DVOA, EPA per play, they usually rank lower on the pass defense side of things. So I need to go with a 10 on this one. I don't think that the 49ers have a cornerback that you can put one-on-one consistently versus Coop. I don't think not one of those players can stay with Amari. So I will go with a 10.
I 100% agree. I'll go with 100. If they actually feature Amari Cooper this week, it'll be tough for them. In fact, again, our guy Koye broke this down. If they feature Amari Cooper early and often, they will make them have to adjust their game plan if they don't come out, trying to stop Amari Cooper. So they don't have a cornerback that can run with him one-on-one. And Josh Norman, if I'm not mistaken, got benched or whatever. A Niner fan maybe can tell me about this. But Josh Norman would have been burnt toast had he had to deal with Amari Cooper all day. But it sounds like he's falling out of favor with Kyle Shanahan, so he won't be in there. And they'll use, I think, Kawan Williams is one of the names. And there's another cat. Is it Mosley? Or there's some cornerbacks that they have, but I don't think any of them could deal with, not just really Amari, if we're keeping it a bean, y'all. I don't think they can deal with this passing attack in general. Again,
their best shot at it is up front.
Yes.
If you want their best shot at stopping the Cowboys passing game is if they win at the line of scrimmage, definitely.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing about this game, Mo. It really screams the Cowboys should air it out on these boys. it really screams that. But we know in the playoffs you need to have a running game. And I talk about being efficient and being efficiently balanced a ton on the morning show. And this is one of those games because you don't want to just drop back 40, 45 times. You don't, because they do have Nick Bosa, Rick Armstead, right? Fortunately, they don't have D Ford, but they do have guys that can make it tough on your line and on your quarterback. But if it gets to a point where we're in that hurry up mode and they can't get to Dak Prescott, I have full confidence that these wide receivers can get some work. I do.
Give me 12 personnel. Give me 12 personnel consistently. Get Dak Prescott in 7-man protection plays. Manufacture these deep shots. That's what I want to see from the Cowboys on Sunday.
Okay, next one I'm going to go with is Curse versus Kittle. Your matchup meter, your matchup confidence in Curse versus Kittle this week.
Hey, this is the playoffs. You're going to have some tough matchups. And I'm going to be on the lower side of things on this one. George Kittle is one of the best tight ends in the NFL. He is one of the best blocker, maybe. I will go with a 4 because I don't want to go all the way down to 3 or 2 to not sound that pessimistic. But I will go with a 4 because I trust Jaron Kearse and the Cowboys defensive scheme to get something going versus George Kittle. But this is such a good tight end, and they run a lot of underneath routes with him, but they're not afraid to send 85 in these vertical routes. And where I think that he can be a tough matchup versus Jaron Kearse is in those kind of plays. You know, these kind of plays in which George Kittle is running underneath at first, and then he kind of leaks upfield, and he's a vertical threat. I need to give this one a 4 out of respect to George Kittle.
Yeah, you know what? That's a very fair and nice answer. I think I'm going to go with you. I think if you went matchup to matchup, kind of removed your fandom, you would say this is a matchup that the Niners will welcome. And that's with damn near anybody in the NFL. I'll take George Kittle, right? Unless you got a cornerback you want to match him up with. But maybe we attack Kittle in a way how we attacked Kyle Pitts after we adjusted, where we sent a bunch of bodies at Kyle Pitts. The difference is, though, Mo, is that they play an entirely different offense. They make you have to commit. And where George Kittle, I think, is also a weapon is in the run game. So when we talk about the matchup, it's not necessarily just him throwing the rock or catching the ball. It's also something that we've seen J-Ron be very successful at, getting at the line of scrimmage, manning up against a tight end, discarding that tight end and making a stop. He's got a ton of tackles for losses like that. George Kittle is going to be tough to do that to. So it's going to be mano-a-mano. It's going to be a tough matchup. So I'd go 4-5 out of respect to Kittle and also out of respect to Jaron Kearse, because I think Jaron Kearse is up for the task. It's just that Kittle is an all-world tight end. You know, at this rate, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. And yes, Kearse is expected to play. He's dealing with the hamstring situation, but all indications are he will be playing this week. So I wanted to get that out of there.
Maybe not with a lot of practice, right? I think that would be the one concern. I think that Mike McCarthy said about 2 days ago that they were expecting the COVID players back on Thursday, and he said that Kearse was going to be out a while longer. How much is what we don't know, but hopefully ready to go.
Let's see what they say about Kearse in this matchup. We got 7, 5, 5, 6, 5, 4s, 5s. I think a lot of people are a little confident with the 6s and 7s. 4, 5. So it looks like a lot of in that 4 to 6 range. There are a few 7s and up, but and one from Matt, not good at RC, says 1. So I think we're in that 4 to 6 range where there's some confidence there, but there's also the understanding that you're dealing with George Kittle, man. You're dealing with George Kittle.
Yeah, and you said it out of respect for Kearse, also the 4 or 5, right? Because if this was any other, the majority of players in the NFL, you would likely go with a 2 or a 3. So I'm more between 3 and 4.
No, you're right about that. All right, here is one that I actually like a lot, even if so-and-so comes back. DeMarcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory in this defensive line against likely Trent Williams, Will Compton, I think Alex Mack, in that 49ers offensive line. Cowboys D-line, 49ers offensive line. What is your confidence level in these boys?
I'm feeling good about this one. I was blown away last night I was checking PFF's grades, and I know we're not going to put a lot of stock on those grades, but I was quite surprised at Compton's grade, the 49ers right tackle.
He's
He
played
grades
well.
as one of the best, exactly. But I feel like that's where you want to go fishing, though. I think you want to attack the 49ers right tackle in this game with Lawrence and Parsons. That's where I'm feeling more confident. Over at the left side, it all depends on how healthy is Trent Williams, because I love Trent Williams. He's
He's
been
a
one of
beast.
the best for offensive linemen this season, including guards, including tackles. I think that you can put him right up there in 2021. But how healthy is him? I will go with a 7 on this one because Trent Williams is so good, and I'm a little bit concerned that maybe he's healthy enough. Maybe they were just resting him last week. I will go with a 7, but I think that the Cowboys can win consistently on the right side. If you told me only right side, I would tell you a 9, because that's how I'm feeling about this one.
Well, I would go higher than a 7 if you told me that these boys are going to throw it 35 times. The problem is they're probably not. So I'm going to stay at a 7 because I still feel good about this matchup. I feel like coming into this game, our defense line is being slept on, borderline disrespected. They're basically calling these boys soft, and they act like they can't deal with the running game, like they haven't dealt with the running game before. Sure, has a running game been successful against them? Yeah, it's the NFL. You're not going to shut dudes down every single week. I mean, only unless you're the 85 Bears or the 2001 Ravens. I mean, the Niners have been ran on this year. Okay, so let's not act like you can't get ran on. But nonetheless, I don't think they're going to throw the ball a bunch. In fact, if you look at the playoffs of Jimmy Garoppolo under Kyle Shanahan, in the 3 games he's played, the one time he had to throw the ball a lot, they lost. It was the Super Bowl. So I think they're going to try to come out here. In one game, he only threw it 8 times. Another game, he threw it 19 times. So I think they're going to come out here and try to misdirect you to death. I think there's what's the word I'm looking for? I think there's a misunderstanding with the Niners. Yes, they're a physical football team, Mo. They are a physical football team. The hell's not physical, but nonetheless, they are a physical football team. But more than that, they are in my opinion, a cutesy football team, a misdirection football team, a hey, look over here while I go over here football team. It's not really going to be about physicality, in my opinion. It's going to be more about you being disciplined. Because if you remain disciplined against this scheme, it takes away that physicality crap. Because you know what's going to happen? If they can't get off on the ground, then Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have to throw the ball over 30 times. And he's not good when he has to do that. So if they remain disciplined, and I have confidence in our guys to do so, but if they remain disciplined, I think you put the game in Jimmy G's hands, and then guess what? That confidence goes from a 7 to an 11.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that one, because you had it right. It's a lot of eye candy. They motion their fullback a lot. They do a lot of stuff with Kyle Juszczyk. Then they have the screen game that is so good. Their screen game is so creative.
Extremely creative, yeah.
Yeah, there's one play that I was looking at versus the Titans in which the screen pass is to the left, but the guys that are going to block are all coming from the right side. It's such an impressive play. So I agree with you on that. It's about discipline on this football game. And I think that the Cowboys hopefully are going to be able to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's no knock. Me calling them cute is no knock on them because they're creative. They're more creative than any team in the NFL, I think, especially in the run game. But sometimes that can get you in trouble. So, and go look at the Rams. Like, the Rams remained disciplined in that first half, and they had 66 total yards, Mo. The Niners had 60, and I'm not going to let people forget that, because I'm telling you what's happening on these social medias and things like that. They're going to act like the Niners just steamrolled the Rams in that game. They didn't. They're going to act like the Niners didn't lose 7 games this year. They did. They're going to act like the Niners just ran the ball for 300 yards every single game. They didn't. we talk about teams being, physical because they run the ball so much. The Niners ran the ball 29 times a game this year. Guess how many times the Dallas Cowboys did? 27. But one is, you know what I'm saying? The Cowboys need to remember who they are, and that is an efficiently balanced team. When they forget that is when they get in trouble. But let's not forget that Dallas didn't impose their physical will on teams earlier in the season. when they ran the ball when they wanted to run the ball. We had 200-yard games, 175-yard games. We were number 1, number 2 in the league in rushing and attempts and all those things. The Cowboys can play physical brand of football, but if you listen to everybody else out here, they would make you believe that the Dallas Cowboys can't. As long as they remember who they are, they absolutely can.
And I think that is because of 2 reasons. One, the fact that the toughest losses of the year, and I'm thinking about the Broncos game, it felt like they were out physical. And I also think that it has to do with past performance in the playoffs. Even though it has nothing to do with the 2021 Cowboys team, I think a lot of people are still thinking about that 2018 Rams playoff game in which the Cowboys got destroyed at the line of scrimmage. But things are different now.
Why would you think of, that's silly to me. When people do that, that's like when people say, oh, Dallas Cowboys haven't won. Fam, but why are we talking about 1995? It's 2022. It has nothing to do with nothing.
I think that's where the disrespect maybe comes from national media, though.
Yeah, and I guess casuals, they kind of run with that whole mantra. I mean, somebody just said it here. The Seahawks swept them, and they ran the ball on them. They lost to Colt.
The Seahawks swept the Niners.
They lost to Colt McCoy. But if you listen to the people in the media, they will have you believe. They will have you believe that this is the juggernaut offense, a juggernaut team. They put their pants on just like you, Dallas Cowboys. They have flaws just like you, Dallas Cowboys. They have been ran on, and they have not been able to run before. The blueprint is there, Mo, in my opinion. Stop the run. You have your chances of winning go sky high. And let's say something real quick. For those games that were, we got out physical and things like that, right? The Broncos come to mind. The Broncos game, I still foul that in an anomaly in the sense of nobody came to play in that game. Nobody. I think they came into that game like, we're just going to roll our helmets out there. We're going to beat the Broncos. We don't really care. And they said that in the postgame. But the other 2 games, they talk about the Cardinals and the Chiefs game. The defense came to play in those games, in my opinion. Those games were winnable, right? We talk about out physical and can you match the physicality and things like that. The defense held the Chiefs to 19 points and created 2 turnovers in that game. Your offense didn't come and play in that game. The Cardinals game was an evenly matched game. Now, we could talk about, if you want to talk about the Zebras or whatever, but that came down to a missed field goal. That was an evenly matched game, so that they will have you believe that Dallas has no chance in a physical game. If Dallas remembers who they are, they don't only have a chance, I think they're favored. And that's me. And that's me, Mo, trying to really not really go off right now because it really frustrates me how they're acting like my boys ain't got no shot. I digress.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people start realizing that, hey, the games are going to be tough, and then they go to the pessimistic side of things. But, hey, it's the playoffs. Games are supposed to be tough. I was listening to David Lombardi last night, who covers the 49ers for The Athletic, and he was talking in a similar note about the Cowboys, right? Like he was saying, these guys are good. It's going to be a tough matchup. So I think that we all feel like that in these playoff games.
Yeah, let me get to a couple super chats I missed in my little soliloquy there. Let's see.
Super chat.
Tom Downey Burner account, $2 donation said, Mo, when you buy Dallas, what role would Sky be? Not sure what that means, Tom Downey.
I don't know what that means either.
Yeah, explain a little bit more there. Appreciate the donation.
Like we're calling a Cowboys game. Who would be play-by-play and who would be color analyst?
I'm not sure. Oh, well, you would definitely be play-by-play. I don't got the patience to do play-by-play, Mo.
I love play-by-play.
I need to react.
I have done play-by-play, and I've loved every second of it.
Yeah, I would be more the color analyst. I got to react to what I just saw.
Super chat.
Below the Heavens, appreciate you for the $2 donation. It says Micah is Craig this week. Ooh, because have you ever seen the movie Friday?
No.
Okay, so in the movie Friday, there's a character named Craig. There's a bully named Debo Samuels, and he gets the better of him for most of the game or most of the movie. Then at the end, he knocks him out, picks up the brick, knocks him out, and he wins that battle or what have you. Just to keep it in layman's terms. So I like that one. And
super chat.
The 49ers are trash. $5 donation. Appreciate you. He says San Fran beat 3 teams all season that are in the playoffs. LA twice, Rams and Bengals. Everyone talks mess about who we play, but 4 of 5 losses are playoff teams. Yeah, I mean, I don't like to get too caught up in all that because you're in the playoffs. It comes down to matchups, right? It comes down to styles make fights. You're there. You're in the tournament. You have a shot. Hell, even Philly, right? They're in the tournament against Tom Brady. If they run for 250 yards, they got a shot. So, you're in the tournament, man. It comes down to styles make fights. So I'm not going to get too caught up in who they beat and all this other things like that. They're 10-7. Let's not act like they're 15-1 or 15-2.
I'm now getting slaughtered in the chat because I have not seen Friday.
Oh,
So
don't
I
come
will
at my
get
man,
that on
'cause-
my homework. That's my homework for tonight.
Yeah, so I'm not even disappointed that you never seen Friday. You are born and raised in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine, that wasn't something that was shown in your home. I mean, I feel like that's more of a cult classic.
I think it should have been shown. We get most of your movies though.
No, that's not what I mean.
Maybe it's out there.
That's not what
All
I
right.
mean.
I will figure it out.
I mean, like, I doubt your folks was like, hey, let's watch
All right.
Friday, right?
All right.
You got a brother?
All
You got an older brother?
Yeah, 2 of them.
2 older brothers. I don't know
I'm
if
the
your
younger
brothers
one.
came to you and said, hey, Mo, let's come watch Friday. You know what I mean? I don't know.
So it's that kind of movie. All right. I will keep it in mind.
Yeah. It's not for no little kids, I'll tell you that. But hey, it
Right.
pops up in our homes when we were young. But you can watch it now. Obviously, you'd understand it more anyway. So yeah, give it a go. Say that. Give it a go.
I will, man.
Here's what we'll do before we get out of here. Usually, when I have Okoye on, we do a hashtag A to Z segment, and that's usually when the fans type in hashtag into the chat, and we'll go through like a rapid fire questions and we'll answer it together as we exit out the show. So let's go ahead and do a hashtag A to Z segment here with Mo on our multiverse crossover thing we got going on here, where we haven't done this since what? Preseason?
The preseason.
Yeah,
Since the preseason. And by the way, you will be on primetime next week.
Yep. Next week I'll be joining primetime. We don't have do we have a day yet? We don't know yet.
How about Tuesday? Let's do Tuesday.
Tuesday? Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Tuesday
we
night.
are prepping for the divisional round.
Yeah, that's the hope. That's the hope.
Yeah. All right, let's get some hashtag A to Z's. For those who don't know what that means, you type in hashtag A to Z. I'll try to find it and read the question. Mo can also look at in the chat and try to find them as well, because sometimes the chat can go and I won't get a chance to see it. So hashtag A to Z, and we'll answer some rapid fire questions here.
Super chat.
Real quick though, Tom Donnie with the $2 donation says,
That I'm not going to do. I'm not going to watch Friday with my parents though.
"Why watch Friday with your parents, Mo? Good, clean family." Can you imagine? Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, I don't do that. If they've never seen it, I advise you not to. I mean, it is funny. It's funny. I don't know what kind of humor they like, so I'm not going to judge, but I'd imagine that's not the type of movie they would be into. All right, let's do it. Let's do hashtag A to Z. TC915 says, hashtag A to Z, how confident are you in Quinn versus Shanahan?
I'm moderately confident because I think that Shanahan is one of the best coaches in the NFL, but I also was thinking about the fact that these two guys know each other, but Quinn is such a different coach now. He's no longer that cover 3 Seattle Seahawks defense kind of coach. Things have changed now. He's more of a cover 1 coach, man-to-man coverage. Sure, it's still single high safety defenses, but it's different. And I think that Kyle Shanahan maybe is a little bit more the same coach. And I don't mean this as a knock. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL. So I will go with a moderate on that question.
We're on the same page here, man. I think I said this the other day. This is a different Dan Quinn. I don't think that Kyle Shanahan can go into the lab and be like, hey, man, I already know Dan. I don't got to spend all this time on him, yada, yada, yada. Not the case. This is an entirely different scheme. It's actually more, like you said, more of a man scheme. I do hope that he kind of goes into a little bit more zone than normal. Not saying be someone you aren't, because this is a man squad. But if they have to pass the ball, I do like Jimmy having to hold it a little bit. But nonetheless, Kyle Shanahan, like you said, is still mostly Kyle Shanahan. And, Mo, he had to dig deep in his bag last week. They had to give everything. They had to put it all out on the table. He had to empty the clip. So I don't think there's going to be much the Cowboys haven't seen on film on Sunday from Kyle Shanahan.
I agree. CJ
Richards says, hashtag A to Z, feels like house party with kid and play with Sky and Mo. That's another one, Mo. You got to see. Usually you see Friday, house parties, one of them, Boys in the Hood.
All right.
It's a whole it's a whole thing. Maybe I'll talk to you about it behind the scenes.
I will make a list of these movies.
Oh, crazy. Hashtag A to Z. Jorge Salgado says, what do you think the final score will be?
Ooh.
That's early in the week, Jorge.
Yeah, early in the week. I really don't know. I am leaning towards the Cowboys to win it, and I'm thinking a close game throughout most of the game. So I don't have a final score yet, but I am leaning Cowboys in a close one.
Come on. Jorge, how long you been around here, huh? You know dang on well I am not giving my prediction to the game on a Wednesday. So you're going to have to come on through A to Z Sports Game Day Live on Sunday with me and Jesse before I give you my game day score prediction. That's just how it goes, Jorge. So, you could give a score, but I'm not giving no dang on score. I got to make people come through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Hashtag A to Z, Mr. Woods. Who would you rather touch the field first? I like this one. Offense or defense?
Oh, I'm a fan of getting the second half. I'm a fan, of getting the ball in the second half. So definitely defense. However, I would love to see Dak Prescott and company come right off the gate in the first half in an opening drive with touchdown. I would love that, but I will say defense because that's just my mentality always.
I need Cowboys to get this rock first. Period. Here's why. Kyle Shanahan is a mastermind with the first 15 plays, right? I put him up there with Andy Reid. Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan, they can get you with that first 15. And with Dallas, I think they'll throw the kitchen sink fast and early at them because I know that Kyle knows if the Cowboys get down, they can press a little bit. If the Cowboys get down double digits, they have not come back from that this year. They're 0-4. So with that said, I want Dallas to come out in the whiteout in AT&T Stadium, up tempo, getting the ball into your best players' hands. I need Amari Cooper to touch the rock early. I need Tony Pollard to touch the rock early. Come out in that 21 personnel set where Zeke and TP's out there and you don't know who's getting. Get these boys, put them on their heels. So now that they're pressing. So usually I'm with you. Defer, get the ball at halftime, things like that. But this is do or die playoff time, and the Cowboys play much better when they're front runners as opposed to having coming back. Put the pressure on San Fran early. Philly,
nice.
Shout out to Philly the podcast. Hashtag A to Z. If the Cowboys lose in round one, what changes need to happen?
Ooh. Are we talking about like coaching changes?
Loaded
because
question.
I think that it's too early to get into maybe a McCarthy conversation. I think that it's too early for that. Like let's not get into that.
Changes I wouldn't even use the term change. Change makes it seem like, oh man, you guys are awful this year. You got to change something. I don't know that you have to change, but I guess you can retool the linebacker position, right? Retool the offensive line. Retool your scheme if your scheme doesn't improve in these playoffs, things like that. But I don't think they need a bunch of wholesale changes if that were to happen.
Yeah.
UGK baby, hashtag A to Z, ideal ratio of carries between Zeke and Pollard.
Oh, I hope it's closer to 50-50. It hasn't for most season. It's been more like 60 for Zeke and 40 for Tony Pollard. But I would love to get them closer to 50 for this game. I think that Pollard really brings a different kind of punch to this Cowboys offense. It's a little bit of a 1-2, right? And I think that we have, maybe Cowboys Nation has piled on Zeke a little bit this season, and I think that he's not had that bad season as many people would say, but give me a 50-50 split between Pollard and Zeke on the 49ers game.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I'd like to see it more evenly split, but more evenly split than 9 carries, 8 carries. You know, I need more of a 15-15 thing, right? I need this to kind of be in the higher range. I'm not saying run the ball 40, 50 times, but I'm saying I personally think if they run it the way I would like them to run it, right? Misdirection, get to the outside. Both Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott can have a good game. I've seen teams do it to this squad. Now, lately, the Niners' run defense has been much better, so I'll give them credit to that. But, you know, I'm going to bring back what I said earlier in the year. Yeah, you've been good, but you ain't played this team yet, right? This team presents different challenges because they can be an elite running game and they can be an elite passing game. So I think they present different challenges than anything that the Niners have seen this year, in my opinion. So I would like to see a little bit more TP, but an evenly split on the higher end, as opposed to like in the Cardinals game, it was 6 touches to 9 touches or something like that, and that's ridiculous. Don't do that.
I think that versus the Cardinals, he got 3 carries. I
3
think
carries
Tony
and
Pollard
3
got
receptions.
3 carries. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Was another one here. Hashtag A to Z. Sully says, "Do you see us loading the box?"
Hopefully, yeah. I do think that it will be a loaded box early in the game, and then later you will have to go with lighter boxes if the game script is going as you want it to go, and maybe you're forcing Jimmy G to pass the ball a little bit more. But I do think that we're going to see heavy boxes from the Cowboys defense.
I agree.
Mocked up linebackers, maybe. I think we will see a lot of that.
You'll definitely see the big nickel a whole lot in this game, because I don't know if you can afford to have LVE singled up out there. You know, if they bring Micah down to do that bare front where they got 5-on-5 and then LVE's back there, it's going to stress. I think it'll stress the O-line, but it'll also stress LVE. If you don't get the one-on-one wins in the matchup, LVE would now have to make that read and react play, and he's been suspect with that. But yeah, I think you load the box. Just be careful, because if you run a ton of man in that manner, you step up and you load the box, they can hit you with that misdirection, play action stuff, and they don't have a sophisticated route tree, but what they do have is a sophisticated scheme that will pull your linebacker up just enough to get Ayuk behind you, or pull your safety up just enough to get Debo behind you, and that's what they want. They kind of want you to run a lot of man, because man makes you have to commit to something. Whereas in zone formation, you know, if you call the wrong play, you're Kyle Shanahan. Now you got 2 guys out in a route against 5 defenders. Good luck, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Exactly.
We'll get a couple more here. Thank you, Miss Sadiqa. Hashtag A to Z Sports Dallas. Love you both. And A to Z Sports Dallas. Do not watch Friday with your parents, Mo.
All right. Noted.
There's a whole lot of here. Stage says, should we be scared of Debo? Y'all know I don't like to use that term, scared. If you're scared, go to church. But Debo is a concern.
A big concern. No, yeah, let's be fair.
Lance Bell on Facebook, hashtag AZ. How confident are you of Kellen opening up the playbook?
Very confident. I am. And I don't think that he is holding back. I don't think that has been the issue with this offense, but all coaches hold something back for the playoffs, right? And even week to week during the regular season. I like the fact that it's at AT&T Stadium. I felt like the Cowboys have opened up more the playbook when they're playing at home. That is something that maybe it's not true, but that's what I have seen when watching these games. It feels like that way, right? So I think that versus the 49ers, it's time to open it up, because there's no tomorrow in the playoffs. I think that in the postseason, it becomes more of, instead of holding back something for next week, just unloading it week to week and just keep coming up with more stuff as the playoffs go on.
Like I said on Monday, man, it's going to be about emptying the clip this week, going back to the armory, grabbing another one, empty the clip that week, go back to the armory, grab another weapon. You're going to empty the clip every single week in this postseason. There is no holding back, right? Like, you ever
Are we getting more motion in the postseason?
I think we are. With Ced Wilson, I think you will see it. And you brought up a great point that I haven't talked about this week in regards to Kellen Moore opening it up. We're at home, right? The Cowboys are averaging 36 points per game at home. There's only really been 2 games they've been a disappointment at home, and that was against the Denver Broncos and against the Cardinals, where they scored 22 points. For the most part, they're putting up 30-plus points every game. And I think they are more comfortable at home because you got the crowd with you. They're more up-tempo. You feel more secure in doing those trick plays and things like that. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm confident that it'll open it up because I have no other reason to believe that he held on to certain things in the regular season, if not to open it up in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like you can't see things you saw in weeks 1 through 7 and say, aha, we're not going to run those ever again, right? You're going to start probably running them here in the playoffs.
Exactly.
William Anthony, hashtag A to Z. Should the Cowboys game plan to get Cooper double-digit targets? Yes.
I think so. I think it's a players' league at the end of the day, and I think this is the game where you try to scheme Amari Cooper open consistently throughout the first half at least.
Man, I was so far behind on these, man, but we'll leave it at that. And tomorrow maybe we'll pick up some hashtag A to Z's with our guy Okoye. But wow, great show, Mo. I knew it would be. Thank you for joining me today. It was great. We should have did this a lot more during the regular season, but hey, we got next week. Right? We got next week.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be coming on prime time. And I know that we had talked early in the season about doing more of this.
Yeah.
But it's, hey, you have a busy schedule. I have a busy schedule. But I'm glad that we're doing this in the playoffs.
Your schedule more busy than me. You legit do what, 3-4 different shows? You got the Palmetto Cowboys. I think you do another show with like more of a broadcast setup. You got the podcast. You're on radio. I mean, you do a lot, man.
Yeah. I'm going all in. I enjoy sports a lot, and I'm going all in.
Yeah, you are. And that's what we're supposed to do, right? We're doing what we love to do. Zach and Austin, salute to those guys for finding us and letting us be a part of this startup. I think A to Z, I said this before, is on the rise, man. I think we're going to do something special, and especially if these Cowboys do something special. But I think we got some special things in tow here with A to Z Sports in the future.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I appreciate everyone who's tuning in to the shows because, hey, maybe not everyone, but people are tuning in to your morning show, to the night show, to the game day show.
Yeah.
People are backing ADC Sports Dallas, and we appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely. Somebody said, when is the next time we'll do this again? Next week, I will actually be joining A to Z Sports Prime Time, which is our evening show. So you'll catch me on there. We'll try to get some promotions for it as well. I'll try to promote it more this week and on Monday. But we're aiming for Tuesday, right? Yes,
sir. Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central.
And it's really 8 p.m. with Mo. He's on time. I'm pretty notorious for not being on time, so I actually bumped up my show time to 8:15. So I'm 8:15-ish. Mo is 8:15 prompt. He's promptly 8:15. I'm on that CP time. Yeah.
8:20. I'm sweating because I'm like, man, I'm starting this show late. 8:20 is like my.
You started at 8:20 before?
8:20 is my latest. That is the latest that I will go live at.
Man, we had some struggles. Was it last week, y'all, where we had some internet connection struggles with AT&T over here? And, boy, I was going on at 9 o'clock, and then it would cut in and cut out, and I couldn't really do a full show. So, man, 8:20, I'd be cool if 8:20 was my latest.
Yeah.
Dan says, are the podcasts updated daily?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. This one, as soon as I'm done here and it finishes rendering on YouTube, I'll rip it, and I'll put it up on the audio platform. And for those that are listening through the audio platform, thank you. If you don't know about it, and I will admit I should have did a better job this year pushing the audio platform. We are on, Google Cast, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, we're on all those things. So for those that can't catch the shows live, which I advise you to do because they're really fun on YouTube and Facebook, you can catch the audio parts of it on all those podcasting platforms. And if you're a Cowboys junkie like me, I can sit and listen to Cowboys talk all day. So, make sure y'all plug into that. We'll give you some really good Cowboys talk.
That's right.
All right. With that said, because they in here getting on me for being late, I'm going to press this button, man, to get up out of here. Shout out to everybody that joined us today. Appreciate the donations. Appreciate you, Mo, for joining. You guys were great. make sure y'all tune in later tonight, right?
Yes, sir. 8 p.m. Central on Dallas On Demand Sports Talk Network. Sky, I appreciate you having me, and I appreciate all of the audience here on the morning show. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Appreciate all you guys in the chat. Make sure on the way out, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and share this with all your friends, families, and foes. We out of here. Peace. Love you.
I want me some glory hole.